Live for God Studio Productions.
This is Cooking with Brian, a cooking show with food that actually tastes great.
Hi friends, welcome to Cooking with Brian. Today we're going to learn how to make homemade chili mac. Okay friends, for this recipe you need 3 cans of whole peeled tomatoes. You need 1 can of diced tomatoes. You need 1 package of chili powder, the mild version, or if you're a little weak-hearted, maybe a regular one. Or you can get a hot one if you want it even hotter. But we use McCormick's mild chili powder. You need 1 white onion. You can use yellow if you like. 1 can of Rotel. You also need some Bagilia's Italian sausage. That's a Kansas City type of Italian sausage. You can use other ones. Johnsonville's ground Italian sausage is wonderful and a good choice. But in Kansas City we use this Bagilia's mild Italian sausage. You can also use hot Italian sausage if you want to make it even spunkier. But this one here is 1.20 pounds. It's 1 1/5 pounds for people that don't know their math. You need some black pepper. You need some onion powder, garlic powder, and some salt. Okay friends, and here's how you make it. Okay friends, you want to cut the ends of your onions and peel 1 layer around it, and then carefully slice your onion into maybe about 4 slices or so. You want to go ahead and dice it up. Your disclaimers for today is, if you cut yourself, if you cut your spouse, your kids, your animals, your parakeet, or any other, if you cause any injuries to anybody or anything, or damage to your properties, it's your fault. On Cooking with Brian, everything bad is your fault, and everything good is my fault. If you catch your house on fire, if you make people mad in any way because of these recipes, it's your fault, not mine. You take full responsibility for all bad things. All good things, you can give me the credit. However, overall, you want to give the Lord credit for letting you learn how to make this. Okay friends, you want to get like a Dutch oven style pan and go ahead and dump your onions in here. Go ahead and take some canola oil. That's one of the ingredients I forgot to mention. Dump just a little bit in there. I dumped maybe about a 1/4 cup or something like it in there. And that's to keep our Italian sausage. We don't want our Italian sausage to burn or anything like that, or stick to the pan or whatever. It cooks a lot better if you just put just a little bit of oil in there. You ain't gonna put a lot. Go ahead and dump your Italian sausage in there. Voila. Okay friends, you want to go ahead and put your burner on about the 5 o'clock position. Go ahead and fry your Italian sausage and your onions until it looks like that it's done. And the way you'll know it's done is it will be pretty much all turned the cooking type of brown, unless your Italian sausage was frozen. If your Italian sausage was frozen at any time, which I do not recommend it, however, sometimes your grocery stores will do it without you knowing it. And then when you go to cook Italian sausage, you will not be able to get rid of all the pink because they froze it. And that's just the nature of Italian sausage. If it's frozen, it does not look like it's done when it's cooked. But it's safe to eat though, as far as I know. If you get sick, it's your fault. If you catch your house on fire, burn yourself, burn your neighbors. If your cat jumps up on the stove and bursts into a big ball of flames, it's your fault, not mine. You take full responsibility. Okay friends, you want to go ahead and as you're frying this, you want to try to break it down into much smaller pieces as it's cooking. It's not very easy to do at first. You kind of got to let it cook a little bit and then start breaking it up, flipping it around and everything, making sure that it don't burn on one side and be raw on the other. If you notice your oil is gone to where, you know, it looks like you might possibly burn it, you can add just a little bit of oil beyond what you already did. Like this here seemed to have soaked it up pretty good, so I might add just a little bit more. That should be good enough, hopefully. Okay friends, the next thing you want to do is you want to brew you a cup of coffee, preferably in a K-cup machine. And the reason why is because you're going to need energy to finish your recipe. It's always a good idea to drink coffee. And I have put my stamp on it, and you heard that here on Cooking with Brian. Okay friends, now that your Italian sausage is done, go ahead and add some of your spices here. We'll put about 10 dashes of onion powder, about 5 or 6 dashes of garlic powder, you can go ahead and put your chili powder in here also. You notice that I removed the pan from the heat and turned the burner off, so it's sitting here. If you happen to touch the burner that was hot and like end up in the hospital, it's your fault, not mine. Go ahead and put about 8 dashes of salt in there. Okay, we're going to put about 3/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper in here. You kind of want to sprinkle it around the whole thing here. That way it ain't all in one spot. Okay, now you can go ahead and, okay, your diced tomatoes, you want to make sure you drain as much of the juice out as you can get out. And then go ahead and dump that in here. Okay friends, also you could have fried up some sliced up jalapeno peppers in with your sausage if you want it really spunky. In fact, you could even have sliced up some habanero peppers or any kind of really hot peppers. But what we like to do to spice it up is just use a can of Rotel. Okay friends, you want to drain the Rotel because it does have some water in there. Go ahead and drain it out in the sink and then dump your can of Rotel in here, and this really will make it much spunkier and taste much better because it's got green chilies in it. Okay friends, then you want to get you a blender and you want to make sure that you drained your cans of whole peeled tomatoes in the sink, or you could have drank the juice. One can at a time in your blender. And then go ahead and dump it in the pan, and make sure you do that with all 3 cans. Okay friends, you want to go ahead and turn your burner on about the 6 o'clock position and go ahead and give your stuff a good stirring right now. Mix all this up. Now once it starts bubbling and splashing or whatever, go ahead and turn it to, I'd say about the 8:30 position, and keep stirring occasionally. Simmer it for no less than 1 hour, preferably an hour and a half to 2 hours, or longer if you want. But I would say about anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half is plenty good enough after it begins simmering. Like I said, once it starts bubbling, turn it to the 8:30 position. If it starts splashing over the sides, turn it to the 9 o'clock position, or even slightly below that if you have to. If your spouse kills you because you made a disaster mess, it's your fault, not mine. And you want to make sure that you do all the dishes. If your spouse executes you, it's your fault because you didn't do the dishes, when on the show we said you should do the dishes for your spouse. Okay friends, while that's beginning to start warming up, go ahead and get your coffee and drink some coffee. It's also a good time to empty your trash can, finish the dishes if you ain't done it, or any other household chores. Okay friends, we forgot one ingredient, and you need to get 1 can of chili style beans in chili gravy. Go ahead and dump that in there. Give it a good stir. Okay friends, after you cook this for about 45 minutes, you'll notice that somehow magically you get a bunch of water floating to the top. So you want to go ahead and ladle that out. Put it into a bowl. If you have dogs, go ahead and dump it outside, but make sure you wait a while before you let them outside to lick it up, because you want it to be cool enough for them to lick it up. If you give it to them hot, it's your fault. Not my fault that your dog burned his mouth. Okay friends, then you want to go ahead and re-spice this with garlic powder and onion powder. Put about 4 dashes of garlic powder and about 8 to 10 more dashes of onion powder, and give it a stir. And you want to do that, I'd say about maybe 15 minutes or so before you want it to be done. Maybe 30 minutes, because I actually haven't even started making the pasta yet. Okay friends, and you want to take a very large pan of water, and you want to go ahead and boil that, put it on high and heat it until it gets roll boiled, and then dump 1 pound and you want to dump 1 pound of elbow macaroni, elbows, Barilla elbows, that's what I like to use. When you get a roll boil, go ahead and dump that in your water. And then you want to boil it for approximately 15 minutes, maybe 20. It says to boil for 7 minutes. I don't believe it. Just boil it until it's done to your likings. You want it to be tender, so you cook it until it's at the very end of the hard stage, before it gets mushy. That's tender. Okay friends, that's I'm not going to go into great details on cooking the pasta. You should already know how to cook macaroni noodles. I showed you a little bit. Go ahead and boil that, and then carefully drain all the water out of it. And then you want to take all your chili stuff and dump it in with the macaroni noodles and stir it around and have fun and enjoy it. Well friends, I hope that was a blessing. We will see you next time. Bye y'all.